Okay, well, I guess, we can call to order meeting of the planning board for Monday, February 12th at 6 p.m. Anybody have anything for open forum?
No.
I wanted to ask, I guess, I wanted to ask about town meeting. Do we stand up and make a presentation to kind of explain what we're asking, or does somebody else do that, or do we not just? Do it?
Generally, for anything that's a, bylaw or in our purview, we present, the article. So the article's read in by the secretary, and what our vote was, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then we turn it over to whoever the proponent of that is, but I think that is the planning board. Right? I'm pretty sure.
Washington Street, I think it's the planning board and the sidewalk.
And the sidewalk
committee.
committee. The sidewalk committee may want to take the lead on it anyway. And if they want to do that, that's just fine with us, and then we could get up and speak to secondarily, this is what we were doing, or answer questions, that's everything. I really don't expect we're gonna get too much pushback on this. I mean, it's the layout of the road, we're just reestablishing it because we didn't have a record of it.
Right.
We're not moving it, not doing anything strange, so.
I totally agree with you. It's just the finance committee had all these questions in that article. I don't think painted the.
No, because that's what happens every time we have an article.
Right.
It doesn't matter what, remember when we were petitioning to go forward to raise the street on the corner where it floods on Powder Point? And they put in 10 feet, like raise it 10 feet versus bring it to the 10-foot elevation, which is like 6 or 7 inches in most spots. And people ran with that even though they understood. Anything to kill it.
Yeah.
Anything, it's anything to kill it. Now, showing the survey of where Washington Street is, there's no rational reason for trying to kill it. You don't gain anything. So,
And do we know do we know if this finance committee voted on that yet?
I'm not sure, I should check.
Would you mind? Thanks.
or do they need us back again? I would-
I'll tell you.
Yeah,
I didn't know if the questions back to the attorney work would be enough for them.
I would think so. It's pretty straightforward. Very straightforward. Hello. Hey.
Hi.
Wondering if we have an attendee.
Yeah.
That was running, put you on somebody that's running. There should be some others here.
Yeah, there should be 5 of them, right?
I know you know more about, you've been involved with us before, so it's a little bit more, background for you on it. Okay,
Right, that was.
That's it? Okay. And anything else for open forum myself? Okay, other than, all I can say is I have no update on if we've got anybody to interview. So,
I coached Storm late.
Hey, no problem. I assume not. So that's what you've heard
I
too.
haven't heard of anything.
Okay. Okay, have another email or send out another email. My suggestion is that we get somebody to apply again, which will fall on deaf ears. So that's all. All right, did you have anything for open forum?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So move on to our administrative items. First thing we have is ZBA case 2024-03, special permit, 612 Congress Street. Replace an existing freestanding sign with a new sign reflecting the new business, Pine Woods Animal Hospital. I believe this is a location that used to be an animal hospital, became a fitness center. Now it's going back to being an animal hospital. Nothing too strange there, I don't. Anybody have any questions about that signage scenario? Make a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals that, I didn't see anything in the bylaw that was missing on it.
They made the sign bigger.
Yeah, by a touch.
Form forward.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still conforming, yeah, so, yeah, it wasn't anything over. So,
should I make the motion?
Sure.
I move that we defer this, ZBA case 2024-03 special permit 612 Congress Street to the ZBA for further review.
Okay, and,
Second.
okay. Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, extension, okay. DBA case 2024-04, special permit 18 Jocelyn Ave, raise and rebuild, pre-existing non-conforming attached garage, where the proposal is slightly more conforming by a matter of a few square feet, I think, in this case. So this looks like they're taking off an attached one-story garage and adding an attached two-story garage, so
So you end up with more volume
more volume,
in the area that's otherwise restricted.
yeah. And again, strangely enough, our bylaw doesn't address volume.
I understood.
And the height is under the height requirements, et cetera, but I think that's typical for these. There's no additional zoning issue other than the issues they already have there. So it becomes, we don't have the availability to have everybody involved in the situation, so we can't ask questions, so referring to the zoning board of appeals. I don't see anything lot coverage wise or anything else that stuck out at me that was gonna be some other problem in the bylaw that we want them to know about, that we found and wasn't on the application. So, usual, we'll probably do nothing new to let the ZBA know on that. So, anybody else have anything else on that one?
No, I know that we defer to the ZBA.
Okay,
Second.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, ZBA case 2024-05, special permit 3 Pine Point Place, rebuilding a pre-existing non-conforming detached garage on an open pile foundation. Pre-existing garage was destroyed by fire December 23rd of 2022. So, do you have 1 year to reconstruct, or is it more than 1 year?
Just trying to do it up.
I can't remember. I thought it was 1 year, but it wouldn't surprise me if extensions hadn't been granted for stuff like that in recent times.
I thought it was 2 years,
But that could be,
but I don't remember.
Okay.
So,
that could be, because that was the only thing I was questioning there, is if they're rebuilding something that burned down, and if it was 2 years, why wouldn't they just grant them the permit? Just bringing it back for the zoning board of appeals.
yeah,
That might be why they're asking for it,
yeah.
Okay,
if it expired.
if it did expire, okay.
Because they
Did all
probably
those-
have by
Did all
right.
those COVID extensions expire too?
I would have imagined they did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they're over. It
They're
was
over.
like 400 days from 2020.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be.
okay, so I mean, that wouldn't have necessarily done anything to it, but I cannot remember if it's 2 years or not.
I don't remember either.
I would like to think the building department. Either way, it's.
I would like to think that I would.
I feel like I used to know that.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at.
But I can't get it out, so, anyway, it looks like, anybody else see anything on that one? They had any particular issue with? I don't know that it's getting slightly larger or not, I don't know, I think it might have more volume to it, that, you're rebuilding, you're probably gonna do a better job of your upstairs and everything.
Right.
But it didn't seem anything crazy, especially if this is something they had there before. I didn't see anything in there that gave me the, there's no photo of what it was before versus what they're doing, so. Again, I think the ZBA will get more information on that than we have available to us. So we'll entertain a motion on this one to defer as well. Potentially with the question of, and they just have the right,
Yeah.
based on the fire, to just put this back up anyway. And, with that, so moved. Okay,
Second.
second, any discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, okay. And we got 2 sets of minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of January 8th, 2024. We'll start with those as written.
So moved.
Okay, do we have any changes anybody needs to make?
Second.
Yeah, there's a second.
Yes,
You have a change?
I do have a change. Emily, last page, under national road plantings. At the end of the first paragraph, second sentence, she said they already did the planting. Could you just make that a period there? And then just add in talking with the homeowner, Ms. Rapp was concerned that they may have inadvertently changed it. Because they didn't know that they might have changed it. I realized in talking to them. Thank you. But otherwise, everything looks great. We really did a really great job on these minutes, especially with the Franklin Street. All those details, all those names, all those addresses. Thank you.
Yeah.
Emily's, I have to say, of all the people that I've dealt with, that have done the minutes, we used to have changes all the time. And we very seldom get something like you wanted a period.
Yeah,
I mean, that's about it.
Yeah.
They're fantastic all the time.
In
All the
the,
time.
in the corporate world, the minutes are pretty sparse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to get sued on them.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we voted this.
It was a discussion, period.
We discussed that.
That is great.
No, they're great, because then we can refer back to it when something's going on. So,
Very helpful.
excellent. Okay, so we have that change, so
I move that we approve the minutes
As amended.
as amended.
excellent. And second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, opposed, abstentions, none. And entertain a motion to accept the minutes of January 2024 as written.
So moved.
Okay, good, second.
Second.
All right, do you have any discussion? No,
Again, a nice set of minutes
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
for a very short meeting.
Yeah, like those. All right, with motion and second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, all right.
The only thing that the minutes lack, Scott, was the part where I said these go faster when you're not there.
Okay, good. I like that. I like that. That's good.
Didn't say that.
I'll try to be absent as much as possible. A&R, next item, A&R plan 2024-01, 29 Peterson Road and 6 Upland Road. Didn't we already do this?
Yeah, there's some sort of change. I couldn't figure out what it was. I think it's just the locus now. Yeah, but the original was already recorded. So they had to submit a new application.
Oh. Well, if you look right by the seal, it says the purpose of this plan is to correct this Scrivener's error. Is that part of it?
On the plan?
Oh,
Or-
Do you remember there were a couple things that were like, well, this doesn't make sense and it's not showing, maybe like the name wasn't showing for the person who was applying for A&R?
The funny part about that is that that little note
Yeah.
itself contains an error because it's not Scrivener's, it's Scrivener's.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Mhm. So another spelling that. We're not gonna need to bring that one.
The B is,
yeah, really,
the
that
B is a P.
B.
is the
Okay.
bigger.
B.
Scrivener.
Yes.
So, but
We won't kill them.
I guess that there might be an old English version where you
Maybe.
you do B or B. But I think it's,
Yeah. All right, so they've requested us do this. We don't see any other, there's no, I looked at the other one, I didn't see any other changes to what they're doing on here, so, and again, it's an A&R. They're fine.
Do you remember when they came, when it was proposed?
It wasn't that long ago.
I think it was in December, wasn't it?
yeah, it wasn't long ago at all.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
but I couldn't remember, I thought we actually asked, did we ask them to change something, or?
I bet this is something that came up at closing.
Yeah, well, I don't think we asked for anything to be changed on this one. There was a different one we did ask.
Okay, it was a different. one.
Yes. Okay.
How do we, on a sort of going forward basis, if somebody wants to roll back in and try to fix it?
Yeah.
Get somebody to explain to me what we're fixing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're tempting right
I
here.
thought they would.
yeah, I mean, the Scrivener's error is,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I would think they could just automatically, first of all, it's an A&R. There's a lot of discussions, they don't even have to bring them before.
I hear you.
So.
Might have read the case.
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right.
entertain a motion to endorse the A&R plan as submitted.
So moved.
Give a second. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Okay.
You know what, on the original one, there was a house on it, I took that off.
Showed the house and the garage and.
Good for you that you had the original.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, but yeah, this, the scrivener's,
All right,
scrivener's.
all right, good.
Okay, we got it. Excellent. Excellent.
All right, solve some of this.
There you go. You won't be able to save that file like that. for too
No,
long.
I won't.
You won't be carrying that all the time. Let's see. Next item we have is the established zoning bylaw recodification working group. Based on Chris Bryan's memo.
Hey Scott, can I ask you, Sheriff, I don't know who's here, but I suspect there are people here who want to talk about Franklin Street, and if we're just gonna defer it.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just
we could
do-
jump, forward on that, yep. Okay, so we'll move down to the 6:01 PM public hearing, 333 and 0 Franklin Street, continued public hearing. And that's, you guys, I'm out of it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is, so we got a request to continue because apparently the butters haven't made a submission.
Yeah.
The only question I had about continuing is when's our deadline?
It's in April, but, we can extend it. if
All right, well,
the-
but if it's April, we're okay.
Yeah.
So what, did they have a proposed continuation date?
The next meeting, so February 26th.
They only just got these back before, right? So-
Yeah, last week.
And I think is Jessica, are you here for Franklin? Would you like to take yourself off mute?
Hi, yes, this is Jessica Seiler. We were just wanting to hear that you are continuing this. We were sent an email, I think, from Emily earlier in the day, or yesterday or today, but yes, we just wanted to make sure that this is continuing.
So I think I'm technically running the public
Yes.
hearing, so we'll, do we have a motion on the floor to continue this meeting?
I make a motion to continue this, the 333 and 0 Franklin Street continued public hearing to the February 26th meeting agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. All those in favor of continuing the public hearing to February 22nd?
I think it's the 26th or what did
Did
you?
I say 22nd? I meant 26th.
You might have said 26th. 26th?
I don't know.
26th, February 26th. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, any abstentions?
Staying.
Thank you, one abstention. Both carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Great, thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay,
Good call.
all right, yes,
Yes.
you see them sneak in on me. Pardon the sneak in, okay. Whatever. Okay, so the establishment of the zoning bylaw recodification working group. Chris Ryan has put together a few different groups that he was looking for us to put together, of which, other than the zoning bylaw recodification working group, we're handing off the establishment of those working groups to the select board.
Oh, okay.
Just primarily based on the fact that we don't have a town planner right now. So fighting off dealing with setting up a working group for Hall's Corner.
All right, so I want to be on that working group.
Okay.
But so I can just talk to the select board about
On which one?
Hall's Corner.
Hall's Corner? Okay, yeah, no, you can absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just mention the
And
select.
Emily, you can send that to Rainey and the select board as well, that you're interested in that.
Yeah, because it requires me to drive through there multiple times.
Yes, and it's fun. Oh, we have an adventure.
So Scott, are you saying that we don't have to try to set these groups up, but will we still be part of them?
No, we'll definitely be part of it. The planning board,
zoning bylaw recodification one you guys are supposed to.
That's
have.
us.
Okay, got it.
That's
All
us.
right.
What's gonna happen is these other ones that were on, I just wanted to address the other ones that we had here as well. They are going to be established by the select board. They'll want us to have a member on them. All Corner was originally proposed it would be Dave, but he's not gonna be continuing, so.
Right. So my understanding was Chris was proposing which of our board members would sit on these
Yeah.
groups. And my only concern about just leaving up to select board, which are obviously, it's their prerogative, is if we could just make recommendations as to who
Our members are.
our members are and who might be inclined to sit, I think it would be a benefit to the select. board.
They will be asked, they might have already asked that question. I forget if I got an email on that or not. They wanna know from us who wants to, and what, so it's, it's fine for us to pass that information on. MBTA communities, that was originally gonna be Allison. So now that will have to be.
Yeah, she said she would still want to be on the group, but like as a citizen and on a planning board rep, but.
And that's fine.
I think I'm already on the group.
You're on there for ZBA, it looks like, unless you don't want to be on.
No, I think
You
I,
wear 2 hats?
yeah, I don't wanna.
You're doing the same thing all at the same time, but.
The super interesting thing about MBTA communities is that town of Holden case, so the town of Holden was sued by folks who wanted to develop more affordable housing. And the court, at least at the Superior Court level, came to the conclusion that you can't compel compliance with MBTA Communities Act, other than you'll lose the grants that are referenced in that section. And there are multiple towns who are now choosing to simply lose their grants. Because there's a Superior Court ruling that says that's the penalty.
Okay,
So there's,
and they're assessing what those grants mean to them and then.
and then saying,
Right, does.
and there are multiple towns in the Commonwealth who are now contemplating whether we're gonna just accept the loss of grant income or accept the Communities Act. And I don't have any idea what our select board wants to do in that regard. But I can tell you that is like the open issue under the MBTA Communities Act.
Yeah, the state's gonna have to address that.
Well, the AG's office claimed that they could enforce it.
Okay.
But it's not entirely clear by any stretch of the imagination
Okay.
that the AG even has the power to enforce it. And they haven't pushed.
Okay. Okay.
So this is a super interesting issue,
Mhm.
and I know we did work relative to this issue.
Yeah,
And we
established
actually
some
have-
areas that we could make it happen here.
Yeah, and actually we have to do more work
Yes,
if we're, but that's up to the select board, what we're gonna do next.
okay,
All right?
okay. Well, that, with them establishing that group,
They can figure it out.
they can figure that out, what they wanna do on that. And there was a inclusionary zoning. What was the next one? Which should be fine. I'm surprised they didn't kind of leave that one on our page. And then the one that we're supposed to be talking about right now, which I think was the last of them.
That's bylaw recodification.
Yeah,
You've been involved with this,
since day one, since.
so I think you're the right person.
No, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. No, not at all. I don't know that Judy's been approached on that yet, obviously. She was part of the original ZBRC as well, so.
Yeah,
Then Jim, design review board and town council, and then we'd be looking for outside members. And then he's got some people to consider here as well. Then a few of those were on the ZBRC as well, so. go full circle on some of them.
I don't even know which Mike Gill we're talking about.
No, well,
Well, there are two, there's Mike Gill, the real estate agent, and Mike Gill, the lawyer.
oh, Mike Gill, the lawyer,
Okay.
that's who we're talking about, so I'm good with me being there. I mean, anybody else from our group wants to participate in it as well and be part of it, that's fine too, because it's kind of a big item for us, so,
I'm actually, I'd like to be part of it. I don't know that I can commit to it.
that's okay.
Yeah, so maybe I can just be like a.
It's a working group,
Yeah,
anybody can actually come to the working group. They're like a public meeting, the working group, so anybody can come to it. And in my opinion, this was not the case on the original. Some of the original things that were set up. Somebody that comes can participate. Just tell us who you are and what you want to have for input and participate. Not all working groups were run that way necessarily in the past, in my experience, but it's fine. If people want to be involved and have questions and want to help contribute, they're more than welcome to do so. That's always welcome.
I know that Alice Vogler has a very strong command of various zoning issues in town.
Okay,
And so, the other thing, and there are folks in town who have deeply committed themselves to zoning issues.
Mhm.
And just as a bit of a recommendation, it would be way better to put them in the process
Mhm.
than it would be to have them stand up at town meeting and tell you how you did it wrong.
yes, and the two people who are the most vocal on that and most necessary for us to convince of anything we're gonna do with the bylaw are gonna be Jim Lampert and, I'm not getting my first name now. Well,
Sally.
Sally or Sarah. The day.
Well, you know where
So,
Sally.
exactly. So I think it would be, I don't have a problem working with either of them. I know a lot of people do. I've worked with them a lot. David Udy and I sat in Jim Lampert's house for hours going over the use table that we were pulling out from the uses in the bylaw. I have no problem. I get along with both of them very well. I have no problem if they're involved at all.
So Jim
And
is
it makes
so,
it easier to sell the whole thing.
right, Jim was so fundamental to the last redraft of the bylaw,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And there are multiple provisions of the bylaw that Judy looks at me and goes, that's a Jim Lane.
That's Jim, yeah.
And it just seems to me that if we're gonna advance this ball in any material way that didn't involve somebody, shooting us once we got to town meeting,
Yeah.
let's just put the people who are most engaged in this
Mhm.
and let them participate.
And what we possibly can do there as well, Jim and Sally get along very well, and the way we were kind of working that other piece of the puzzle. I can talk to both of them and see if one or the other would like to be on here. And the other will keep them involved all along, so we don't have necessarily them both having the opinion that they would have on some of the stuff, and we can open it up to a few more people being in there. But I think if either one of them is involved, the other is much more comfortable. So, I'll discuss that with them. I don't know what either of their schedules nowadays look like. I haven't talked to them really in a couple of years because we haven't had much to go over with them. But I think beyond that, extending. I didn't see anybody here I'd be reluctant to extend the invitation to say that we're looking for an additional 4 people. Which may be 3 people, and then we get their interest, have them send their interest over to us. To Emily, and to distribute to us, and, then basically establish the working group. And we can work on what we already have, for from the consultants, which is basically, yeah, at this point, what the whole hope was, our town planner would go through all of it and say, yes, this is matching up with what we want, let's all get together and review it, and here's the things I saw are the problem, here's the things that weren't, and move it forward. We're back behind that rock again, so.
And it's incredible how these really marginal issues come up over and over and over. And you'll get one of these applications, like, for instance, you raised it today, it was like volume.
Yeah.
Everybody wants, everybody who has pre-existing non-conforming and the right to rebuild.
Yep.
I don't say every, but 95% of them want to build something bigger and better.
Yep.
Right?
They wanna go up.
Right, they want to go out, and then the neighbor next door is screaming or not screaming, depending, it's much easier if they're not screaming. And, that's an issue that the bylaw doesn't even address.
Yeah. Well, we have made the argument that it addresses it in that the height is allowed.
Right.
So the height with the length and the width gives you the volume. At the end of the day.
But the truth is, if it's 18 feet tall now,
Mhm.
and you're gonna then put it up at 33.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Yeah,
And then where it becomes, is it an increase in the nonconformity to go up?
right. That particular issue would be great to resolve. I think we should bite the bullet at some point and decide what we're gonna do with short-term rentals.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you bite the bullet, you decide, and we live with the consequences of it. And then we make adjustments as needed based on what
And
we
you
get.
take it to town meeting, right?
Yeah.
But there are, and I can't tell you the number of times that these things come up and they're nuanced and strange, and you look at the language of the bylaw, and you're never gonna be able to plug every hole, right?
No.
But there are some holes that show up over and over and over again, where you're just sitting there going,
And some people have argued that's the way they wanted it. So,
I can't get
a
it.
little too gray in some areas, and it's like, oh, all right, but,
Let me take it like this, it's not a stupid one, because it comes up over all the time. Because for energy efficient purposes, houses that now have broader eaves, 1 or 2 foot eaves. And a lot of the ones we now see have, instead of a foot, they're 2. Because it then provides shading, there's all.
shades the windows better.
Right, yeah.
Is it lot coverage?
Is it lot coverage? And it's not in there.
No.
And,
And we have other protrusions that are not considered lot.
right, and it's not in there, and we quite frankly arbitrarily decided over years that a foot isn't lot coverage.
Yeah. But now it's 2.
But now we have 2, and people are coming with 2 all the time.
Yeah.
And then they tell you, well, this was never an issue before, and I agree with you, it was never an issue before, because nobody thought about it before. And those are the kind of sort of marginal issues that come up over and over and over again, but that's one I would love to see addressed. Because it makes all the sense in the world to make the housing as energy efficient as possible.
And if that makes it better, then we should not make that a stumbling block.
Right, but,
That their whole house has to be 2 feet narrower because that's what they're doing.
right, but if you told me it was a 4-foot overhang, it's not an eve anymore, it's
No,
something else.
well, once you get out there, you're having to support it somehow.
Yeah, but this now has repeatedly come
It's
up
come up, yeah.
in. And those are the, but Judy would be incredible in
absolutely.
identifying the
Absolutely.
particular problems.
Those particular problems, and Judy was heavily involved when we were trying to push changing all the non-conforming issues. You know, that's a piece. I've said this a million times, but the recodification piece kind of coming through first, just to reorganize everything, get everything back in there, fix, you know, not really fixing things, but just fixing it up as far as how it's presented. Then we've got the 10 to 12 things that we as a town need to make a decision on how we're gonna do it. The non-conforming and the rewriting of that whole section is one of those things, inclusionary housing is another. There's, you know, there's a good dozen items that just need to be addressed. And we need to come up with how we wanna do it from here on out. I mean, the lot coverage thing, I mean, a porch, I mean, a deck doesn't count.
Yeah.
And it covers the land any, more than anything else does, but if it had a roof on it, then now it counts. So, that's why I almost think with the eaves, like, if you had a 4-foot eve, my guess is you gotta support it somehow.
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden, you've got to support down to the ground, now it's lot coverage.
right, but the second you tell somebody the 2-foot eve is fine,
Yeah.
you're gonna get one that's 2.6.
2.6.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's
Yeah.
the way it's gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not to suggest that the designers and the architects aren't thoughtful about
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
But you gotta have some way to make reasoned decisions. And I'm just gonna say this. Judy Barrett as a resource for this town on zoning issues is extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Because every other town in Massachusetts has to pay her
Let's pay her to give this information.
to give her view on this stuff.
Yeah.
And she is probably the best planner in New England, and we get her for free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tremendous, tremendous asset. Can't push it too much.
Tell me.
I'd like her to do the whole thing. But, yeah. So,
And were you gonna say something earlier?
No,
Oh, okay.
okay, so, so from the standpoint of this, what they're looking for us to do is establishing this. I think we should extend an invitation to, all the people he has here for consideration, as well as, Jim Lampert. And I think for initially, let's just extend it to Jim. I will talk to Jim about himself and Sally.
Okay.
And how I would like to manage that from being the one that's gonna run the group.
That makes sense.
So, and make sure he's on board with that. I mean, Sally, to the point with everything we were working on before, we had to give her in paper because she doesn't do anything with computers. That will be way too hard to do this. And it gives very nice handwritten pages back to you, but, it doesn't help us redline things and do what we wanna do. So, so from that standpoint, I don't believe this is anything we have to vote into existence. I think we're establishing a working group.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And, we'll put it together, and when we get back some information to fill the other 4 members, we will establish that as the group. And then what we can do for now is let the select board know that we're extending the invitations to the remaining 4 people that would like to be on here. And I think we also need to do that extension to Judy, Jim, Stephen, and Amy, even though they all know they're gonna be involved in this anyway, just so we get that out there, and then to the others to fill those pieces and let the select board know that's what we decided to do. And hopefully by March, for our first meeting in March, we'll have the group established. Okay, sound like a plan?
And then next year we'll have a bylaw amendment.
What's gonna get in the way next?
So we have somebody in the audience to ask you, is there anything you'd like to ask of us?
Oh, well, I'm Robert Carpenter, Summer Street, and I'm on the election, this there, the roster. I have a set list of questions and everything. I wanted to really just have a conversation with you folks and ask how it's going and try to stay familiar. I haven't attended any of your meetings other than maybe virtual from time to time. Just to see, you see the challenges is trying to help people understand what we're doing with zoning and I see a tremendous amount of work in front of us beyond recodification. And not just the as you mentioned, so 12, I don't know what the 12 issues are that you're referring to or alluding to, but there's obviously a lot of pressure on town, zoning wise. So
It's a big challenge, and it's gonna take a lot, it's gonna take a lot of work. It's taken a lot of work to this point. We've had to redirect how we were doing it. Quite frankly, Chris coming in with the idea he came up with to do it was just so much better than what we were trying to do. So the product as it sits is pretty darn good. Now it's up to this group to review it and make sure we're good with trying to push it forward from there. And I think Chris is right, having an independent group with some other eyes on it. It's gonna help make that happen. So we're getting ready to, a couple weeks, we'll sign you up for at least 4 of these, right? All set, ready to go?
could be, and that's kind of like, I guess with the, I mean, I'm here specifically because the recodification working groups on the agenda. And I was under the understanding that there was a consultant who kind of had it
Oh, it should,
well in
It's good.
hand, so it's not
good.
actually a whole lot of work on that specifically. That was my understanding, but you're saying it's actually, there's still more.
well, there is, no matter, how should I say this? How well Chris and myself and some others may say it is, it's never good enough. You've seen plenty of these things at town meeting.
Oh, I know.
One or two people that get up and say, I'm a little unsure of something, and it blows up, no matter how well it's put together. So the idea is we gotta bring in more eyes to it, get those people to all be on board with where we're at, maybe make some little adjustments if need be, but hopefully not. We should be in pretty good shape on it, and then move that forward. One thing the working group will need to work on is we need to get the use table. Hold the uses out. We've got an agreement with the powers that be that the uses we have in the use table I've set up now are right. We need to pull some uses out. We need to redefine some of the uses. We need to add some in there. So that piece of the puzzle is something for the working group.
Nobody's gonna put in a blockbuster.
No, I think we can eliminate the video store special permit at this point. So, so there's some things to be eliminated, but there's other things we need to discuss having them in there. So,
So Scott,
clarifying auto body and things like that is difficult.
I don't want to diminish the advancement that we've made, but in some ways, what we've done in terms of our outside resource strikes me as procedural rather than substantive.
It should be, because it's really just reorganizing what we have.
But I'm, fundamentally, there's substance that needs to get
Yes.
addressed.
Yeah, and this was supposed to be, the original plan for all of this was do this piece, the recodification, to put it together. We all agree this is what it is and here's the format.
Right.
Now we have a clearer view where the issues we have are, and we have a clearer base of which to make the changes.
Yeah.
And then we would deal with them in a separate situation. Now fundamentally, obviously it's not gonna be ready this town meeting. If we had a special town meeting, we could bring the recodification to. We may have the inclusionary housing bylaw ready, because they're working with us on that, as well as town council's already worked on that. We have some pretty good options for that. But if we can go over all that, do the public hearings, and people are happy with it, we could do the recodification, then we instantly could fix the inclusionary housing piece. And maybe that or one other piece. There's a few things, and then the rest of the ones will have to be, that will be our next set of work, would be the next items, and those will take some heavy lifting. We might, if there's, like I said, a good dozen of them, we might only be able to bring 2 or 3 forward any town meeting. Because they aren't gonna be easy to resolve at the end of the day. And the non-conforming stuff is gonna take a lot of work.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I didn't want to diminish what looks to me like a real advancement.
Mhm.
But in terms of, and that's all meat and potatoes, but in terms of the substance of the bylaw, where we have real questions as to what you can do with your own property in this town, needs to get addressed.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because I mean, fundamentally, every single one of these bylaws is a restriction on your right to use your own property. And I think those restrictions have to be clear.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I did have a question about the planning role and the fact that it's unfilled, because when I worked on revising the general bylaw, there were certain activities that it seemed that we were legally required to have a planner seated to proceed with. Is there anything that we cannot do without a formally employed planner?
Any of those sort of items that we have had to do, it's more or less being subcontracted out to Chris, but he has very limited time now. with
Right.
What he's taken on.
That's sufficient to cover the requirement.
It has been so far. It has been so far. There's been discussion of us trying to get an interim person who might work part-time, maybe who's semi-retired or retired. I don't believe we've had any luck with that as well. Also discussion of 2 part-time people. Basically, spitballing anything that might get us to where we need to be. But thus far, that's been difficult. We only, a year and a half now. So a year and a half ago, we had our interviews with Chris and some other candidates. And honestly, through that interview process, we looked at probably half dozen people that we were able to interview. And realistically, only Chris and one other were in our finals at that point. And he was kind of head and shoulders, obviously good. And we all know how good he was. And he was a stretch for us to get. I was surprised that I was like, oh, this guy far away with his ability he's gonna take. But he did show, I felt he showed us when he got here just what a really, really good planner can do. I mean, he was fabulous for him. Regretfully, his significant other took another contract up where they live, so he was planning to move down, not necessarily to Duxbury, but down closer, South Shore, etc. And now that didn't end up happening. So now we're looking, and I don't think there's a whole lot of young talent getting into the planning world. It doesn't seem.
I can tell you affirmatively, I know of one person.
One.
My daughter's at the University of
Oh,
Texas
there we
getting
go.
her planning degree.
Well, tell her to hurry up.
And used to work for Judy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, when did she
Well,
graduate?
when did she graduate? How much longer do we have to wait? Oh, wow, that's great. Well,
Good for
but
her.
people are starting to get back into it, and that's what happens is you get a spot in the market where there's lots of job opportunities and nobody's filling them, and the kids start coming along. So.
It's been good for her because she goes to, she's in graduate school at UT and she's been working with Judy for 2 years.
Yeah.
So she goes to graduate school, she knows things before.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent, that's tremendous. Okay, I think, well, that was all we had, right? So, let's see, anybody has anything more?
Oh, no, I don't want to keep you guys any longer than this.
Okay. Vote early and often, is that?
Yeah, I'll be ready.
Okay. Is there gonna be a debate since there's like 6
I'm
people?
hoping so.
The library trustees will set up a debate if you
Yeah,
want
if
one.
you want one.
I'll ask the trustees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Oh, yeah, he has an easy in on that. So. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I appreciate you being here as well, and I know your interest in the board, the others I don't recognize.
Yeah, I'm curious to
And,
see.
so I don't know what their interest is. Not necessarily people I've seen, they also, I don't believe there anybody who had run-ins with it. So I'm not set back by anything we've done in the past, so yeah, that's
That's
never,
good.
yeah,
But I've seen you at ZBA meetings.
yeah. It's very involved, very involved. in everything.
Yeah, the
Glad
historical
you're
commission,
willing to
just to share and for future discussion, but one of the things I've learned is that, in terms of political theory, they say that if, once a community reaches a population of 10,000, democracy starts to creak at the seams a little bit. Once you get over 15, it kind of breaks down a little bit.
Mhm.
And so what we've been looking at in historical commissions is focusing down to the precinct level and actually trying to create a network of precinct captains and people in preservation to
Sure.
add an intervening layer, and it may be helpful to consider something like that as we go through
Yeah.
zoning issues,
Yeah.
either interest group oriented or
Mhm.
village oriented,
Yeah.
focus groups, so that dissension that might be out there and show up at town meeting can be diffused.
Yeah. There's innate distrust that's there now and anything. And like you said, when the town gets over a certain size, it makes sense. You can see that.
Yeah, but I
The
don't,
smaller the town, the more they trust each other.
but I see that that's something's gonna have to happen in the committees, the town manager and town hall's never gonna take that step. Divvying things out, so.
We're doing it a little bit with what we're doing here,
Hmm.
and having the working groups.
Yes, well, the work out.
That'll help by bringing people in more, so.
And
Okay. So if we don't have anything else, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
I signed.